Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, good morning.
Sir, in this section 99, sir, but
Ji?
it said that inherent lack of jurisdiction is a ground for challenging the validity of an order at any stage.
Yes. Inherent jurisdiction different from territorial jurisdiction. I was covering a case of territorial jurisdiction. Suppose if a decree has been passed by a civil court in respect of a, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
If suppose a decree has been passed by a general court, for example, under the rent control legislation, a decree against a tenant can only be passed by the small causes court, Bombay. Huh? If the landlord, instead of filing a suit, has gone to the high court or city civil court, a decree pass is not executable because it is not there's an inherent bar under section 28 of the Bombay Rent Act, now section 33. That is inherently lacking jurisdiction. That is called exclusive jurisdiction, which wherever the word starting with notwithstanding anything contained elsewhere in this act or any other law. That is called non-obstanted clause. That is a non-obstanted clause is overriding clause. Now section 91 of the Societies Act also start with a non-obstanted clause. Similarly, section 7 of the Family Court Act start with a non-obstant clause. All dispute, matrimonial dispute between husband and wife shall be tried by the Family Court, Bombay. Suppose you have not gone to the family court after the family court came into effect, city civil court passes a decree that inherently lacks jurisdiction. Sanjana? But in a case in a district area, for example, in Thana district, there is a civil judge and senior division. A suit for specific performance should have been filed before a civil judge junior division with a valuation is less amount, 1 lakh rupees. But you had gone to the civil judge junior division, senior division, then you are not taken objection. So it is not bad. It may be an improper decree, but technical, but ultimately it cannot be said that that court inherently lack jurisdiction. Under section 17 and 18 of the Code of Civil Procedure Code, you come to know that 2 courts of concurrent jurisdiction having a power to entertain. You have to seek a declaration from the court which court you should go. You have not sought a declaration. The property may be situated partly in Thane, partly in Mulund, Mumbai. So the plaintiff can file a suit either in Bombay City Civil Court or Bombay High Court or a district court before the Thane court. You are not taken objection. No, because the law permits you to file a suit either in Thane or in Mumbai. Isn't it? So in such a situation, you cannot take up the appeal for the first time. That objection should have been raised by you before the framing of the issues. That is what the provisions of the law mandates clearly. That section, we have seen it here. That for your information, if you have not attended those lectures, please kindly see section 21A. Section 21 and 21A, please read carefully. I won't repeat this, but you read this very clear. Those objections must be raised and you cannot raise it before the appellate court or revisional court. Now, what objection you can raise under 99 proviso that nothing shall apply to a non-joinder of necessary party. Now, under the provisions of the law, parties are either proper parties or necessary parties. When proper parties are not joined, not a problem. Now, if you are evicting a tenant, if there are 3-4 landlords, one landlord can file a suit. The other landlord cannot take up the plea that all are not joint property. They are only proper parties, not necessary parties. Similarly, in a suit for partition, you must join all the co-parcelers. If you are not taken, raise objection, the court passing a decree against the plaintiff and defendant with a direction that property shall be distributed among all the heirs. Some of the heirs are not parties. So you cannot raise the objection for the first time in appeal. But where a person is a particular party is a proper necessary party. Necessary party, for example, take for example, in a suit filed by a minor, a next friend is a necessary party. If you are not joined next friend, the suit is bad. Similarly, against a minor, the minor suit cannot be filed without joining the guardian ad litem, order 32. And if you don't join guardian ad litem, who is a necessary and proper party, not only proper party, necessary party, then the suit will be bad. Now, under order 8, rule 1 CPC, we learned here in a representative suit, leave must be taken of the court for filing. If leave is not taken, your suit is bad. Your suit is bad. You will stand. Similarly, the provisions of law mandate that here, order 32, all trustees must be joined in a suit against a public trust. If you are not joined all the trustees, suit is bad. So these are the examples under section 99. Okay, I won't further elaborate. Anybody has any question, please let me know. Now section 100, we have taken the plea that substantial question of law and appeal lies, that I won't discuss it anymore. Now I will now take you through the provisions of section 100 and section 100A. See that here. Now we are dealing with cases. So sorry, 99A deals with a case. No appeal will lie in a case which is heard under section 47. Under 47, normally, without prejudice to the generality of the 99, no order under 47 shall be reversed substantially on account of error of defect of irregularity in any proceeding or defect, irregular prejudice affecting the decision of the case. Now here, you know that here, when a court has passed a decree against the defendant cannot file a separate suit. Now the law mandates that he must file an application under section 47 CPC to challenge the execution proceeding. Why? The decree is a nullity. You cannot file a separate suit. Now the order passed by the executing court under section 47 is normally not appealable because the court says that here you are not raised objection. If you are raised objection with regard to the inherent jurisdiction of the court, as yes, appeal would lie. But if you are not raised it, then if you are not raised the jurisdiction with regard to territorial jurisdiction, then you cannot come before the court of law. And you cannot also take up the plea that decree is passed against the person when he was dead. The defendant was participating in the suit at the time of the judgment, he is dead. So you cannot take up the plea that here the decree has been passed against a dead person. In fact, he has filed a written statement. So it was your duty to the court. You failed to point out, your lawyer failed to bring on record about the death. So merely because of the omission of the court to notice the fact that defendant is dead, decree is passed, and you cannot challenge in the appeal subsequently because you failed to discharge your obligation under order 22 rule 10A, where your pleader is bound to make the application. Okay, that is the meaning of 99A. Now 100 though we learned the substantial question where appeal lies. Now 100A says that the section 100A, which was also enacted in the year 2002. Why no? After second appeal is disposed of, because in a city in Bombay High Court, second appeal is heard by a single judge. Please note that. When an appeal under section 96 from a district court is dismissed or disposed of for A reason, B reason, the plaintiff or defendant who lost under section 96 before a district court can file a second appeal under section 100. You know that here? That second appeal in the Bombay High Court is heard by a single judge. Please note that. So when the second judge, when the second appeal is dismissed by a judge in the Bombay High Court, you cannot prefer latest patent appeal or second appeal under the provisions of section 100. 100A bars you. Now some of the examples I will give you of 100A. Yes. Now take for example, prior to the amendment of section insertion of 100A, you will find Specific Relief Act section 6 clause 3. Mansi, please can you open section 6 clause 3 of the Specific Relief Act, where no appeal lies, no revision lies. Section 6 clause 3. See that here, no appeal shall lie from an order, decree passed in a suit instituted under this section, or any review of such order, decree be allowed. So all of you learned under the Specific Relief Act, when a person has been dispossessed without following the due process of law and without his consent, he can file a suit for restoration of his possession. It is a summary proceeding and not a title suit. So when a decree is passed, for example, so your property above the valuation, now such suits will not lie in the Small Causes Court on account of the prohibition under section 19 of the Presidency Small Cause Court Act. Such suit will lie under section 9 CPC in the city of Mumbai, in the City Civil Court, Bombay, or High Court, depending upon the valuation. A property valued at till the 1 crore City Civil Court and above 1 crore in the High Court. Now, for example, say that here a property in Churchgate, a suit, you have been dispossessed by your friend. You trusted him and handed your keys. You went for a vacation to Singapore. After 15 days, you came back. Your friend has broken open the lock and occupied the premises and not leaving. So your remedy is to go under section 6 and file a suit. Since your flat is more than 1 crore, the Bombay High Court either passing a decree in your favor or rejecting a decree. When passing a decree or rejecting the appeal under section 6, no appeal lies. Okay, that is a specific provision under section 100A of the CPC. Now, the one question that arose before the Bombay High Court prior to the amendment was that from a judgment and order of a single judge of the Bombay High Court, though no appeal lies under section 6, but the aggrieved party can file a letters patent appeal under clause 6, under clause 15 of the letters patent. So the Bombay High Court rejected the appeal, holding that under section 6, no appeal lies. The matter went to the Supreme Court. That is the case of Vinita Khanolkar versus Pragna Pai. You can open this case, Mansi, AIR 1998 Supreme Court, page number 424. Vinita Khanolkar's case. Now, this is the leading judgment on this point. Now, in this case, just see the ratio. This is a suit arising from section 6 of the Specific Relief Act, which was filed in the original side of the Bombay High Court. An appeal was preferred by the appellant to the division bench of the Bombay High Court. The Bombay High Court took the view that for the no second appeal, no appeal would lie on account of section 6 of clause 3, there is a bar. But the Supreme Court took the view that here the appeal would is maintainable under clause 15 of the letters patent. That provision, can you read out to me? Read out to me, Mansi, please. In this judgment, the Supreme Court took the view that here under clause 15 appeal is maintainable. Yes. Now, in the wake of this judgment, because the Supreme Court took the view that there is no specific prohibition from filing an appeal from the in the court here. Now, after this judgment, CPC was amended in the year 2002. Now, section 100A was inserted. Now, let us see section 100A. I will read it to you. Yeah, notwithstanding anything contained in any letters patent of the High Court or any instrument having the force of law, any other law for the time being in force, where an appeal from the original appellate decree is heard and decided by a single judge of the High Court, no further appeal shall lie from the judgment and decree of the single judge. So I gave you an example. In the city of Bombay, a second appeal under section 100 is heard by a single judge from a decree and judgment of a district court or maybe any court subordinate to the High Court. When the second appeal is disposed of, you cannot come and file an appeal under the letters patent to the division bench of the Bombay High Court. So there's a bar under section 100. Now similarly, another example I will give you of a case under the Municipal Corporation Act. There is a provision for rateable value. Every year, the municipal corporation faces rateable value. When the corporation gives a notice to the tenant and occupant and landlord, pay the rateable value. Then when application is filed, now recently when you know that in the wake of the amendment to the municipal corporation in the Bombay city, on rateable value was substantially increased. Then an appeal lies under section 217 to the chief judge of the small cause court from the judgment, from the order of the municipal corporation. Section 217 of the act appeal lies. That can be called a first appeal, section 217. Now, after the disposal of this appeal from the small cause court chief judge, another appeal lies to the High Court under the provisions of the municipal corporation. Second appeal lies. That is also heard by a single judge. When a single judge disposes of the appeal, municipal appeal, you cannot be permitted to file a second appeal under section 100 as a second appeal or under the latest patent of the division bench of the Bombay High Court. Now there's a bar under section 100. Now that question came up for consideration before the Supreme Court in the case of Municipal Corporation of Brihan Mumbai versus State Bank of India. That's a case reported in 1999 Supreme Court, AIR, page number 380. Manji, just take it out. Municipal Corporation of Brihan Mumbai versus State Bank of India. Here the State Bank challenged the rateable value fixed by the municipal corporation being exorbitant. So they invoked the provisions of section 217 and filed the appeal before the Court of Small Cause Court, Bombay. The appeal was dismissed. Then from this appeal, from municipal corporation, from this appeal was preferred to the High Court single judge. Then after the disposal of a single judge appeal, they file a latest patent appeal under clause 15. The Supreme Court said that in view of the provisions of section 100A of the CPC, no second appeal would lie, no intra appeal under the latest patent. So there's a bar, complete bar here. Please note that here. Yes. Then, so these are the provisions. Then section 102, come here. (101) again bars a second appeal. Section 10 says that here, if the amount is less than 25,000, the appeal would not lie. Okay. Yes, these are the, how much time we left out. These are the various powers of the court where the appeals are entertainable and not entertainable. So now the next, how many minutes? Yes, 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Now, today we can cover. Anybody has any question in this regard? Now, another important provision you must mention, you must bear in mind under section 112 of the Code of Civil Procedure Code. It says that the provisions of the court cannot affect the power of the Supreme Court under Article 136 or any other provisions of the Constitution. That means the Supreme Court can bypass the entire provisions. As you know that here, appeal to the Supreme Court will be subject to the provisions of the constitutional law. Now, one of the matters which arose in Union Carbide's case, I will deal later on when I'm dealing with that proposition. And the other aspect, Union Carbide versus Union of India, when the withdrawal of the suit was challenged, but you all know that Union Carbide's case, famous case, in the year 1982-83, there was a gas leakage in Bhopal, isn't it? More than 2,000 people immediately died. Then the government of India passed the Bhopal Protection Act for the year 1984, filed a suit in the New York District Court for claiming damages for the various victims and people who were affected in the act. Then after the filing of the suit in the New York court, the American court took the view that here the American court is does not have jurisdiction, is a former non having no cognizance. Then ultimately the Union of India withdrew the suit from there and filed a suit in the Bhopal court. In the Bhopal court, a decree was, an application was filed under the for interim measures, 125 crore interim measure, which was reduced by the High Court. Then the matter reached Supreme Court under Article 136. In the proceedings under Article 136, the question arose whether the Supreme Court has power to entertain record settlement, and withdraw the suit here. The Supreme Court, while dealing with the provisions of the Constitution of India, Section 112 of the Code of Civil Procedure, it took the view that now the opponents argued before the Supreme Court that here the proceedings which were filed on behalf of the victims of Bhopal victims is a representative suit under Order 8 Rule 1, and that could not have been withdrawn by the Union of India by filing consent terms without giving notice to everybody. So there's a breach of the provisions of Order 1 Rule 8 CPC and read with the provisions of Order 23 Rule 3. Under Order 23 also, you know that here a representative suit cannot be withdrawn without the leave of the court. Now the Supreme Court did a settlement with Union Carbide without consulting the various affected parties. That in that section, in that judgment of the Union Carbide case, that is AIR 1990 Supreme Court, I will let you know. So the Supreme Court invokes the provisions of Section 112, holding that here Article 136 of the Supreme Court gives is absolute power to the Supreme Court, and there is no question the provisions of CPC are not applicable, and nobody can question the award. That is how, in that light, you must know the provisions of Section 112. Now, then come to, before I take up further topic, has anybody any questions so far?
Sir, Ashish here.
Boliye.
Sir, in this Bhopal case, sir, do you think justice was done? And if it was not done, could some different process have been followed to get that done?
According to me, you should not be asking my views, because we have to follow the Supreme Court judgment. Under Article 144 of the Constitution, the judgment of the Supreme Court is binding on all. You should not be asking personally my opinion, because the court has passed, the matter is no more res integra. So the decree passed by the Bhopal, see, everybody has a grievance. When two parties are filing a suit, one party has to be dissatisfied. The court cannot please everybody unless settlement takes place. Even in the settlement, the people were, because in the Bhopal tragedy case, there were about more than 10,000 people. It was not possible to give everybody the notice here. The Supreme Court was filing the suit as a parent paria suit. The court takes itself suo motu jurisdiction for itself on behalf of the citizen. In a parent paria proceeding, you have to respect the Supreme Court. Okay?
Yes,
You cannot be. Now,
the
next proceedings which I am now dealing are reference and review revision. But Section 103 deal with the reference to High Court. Now, provision relating to reference are both section 113 as well as the provisions of order 27A. Please note that. Order 27A. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is order 46. Order 46. Yeah. Order 46 to be read along with section 113. Now let us go back to section 113. Subject to such condition and limitation as may be prescribed, any court may state a case and refer the same to the opinion of the High Court, and the court may make such orders thereon and fit. Now, here only from the language of section 113, it is clear that only the subordinate court can ask for reference from the High Court. It's a lower appellate, it's a lower court. For example, in the city of Mumbai, the city civil court, the small causes court, the cooperative court, or tribunals, or a civil judge senior division, junior division, or a district court, they can seek opinion of the High Court. They can refer the matter for seeking the opinion of the court in that regard as to what matter. Now you know that here, how, in what cases which may come, in what cases you may refer, seek reference are number one. Under order 27A, you know that here, under order 27A, you know that certain suits can be filed. Certain suits can be filed against questioning the validity of any law or statutory instrument. That you learned it, isn't it? That is subject to, again, the provisions of Article 132 and 147. In any suit which is filed before suppose, for example, in a district court or a civil judge senior division in near Pune, he comes to the conclusion that the provisions of Stamp Act are challenged in this proceeding by the plaintiff or defendant in the matter, or the provisions of Zilla Parishad Act or MRTP Act are challenged, municipal corporation. So, as regard the interpretation of statute, whether there are conflicting judgments of the Bombay High Court or the Supreme Court in that regard, which the civil judge, senior division or junior division or district judge unable to understand, then under section 113, a reference can be, they can refer the matter for the opinion of the High Court, or they may refer the case. Now, in that case, immediately come to the provisions of Order 46. So, Order 46 also, the language used in Order 46 and Section 113 is similar, more or less. Order 46 laid down the guidelines when the court passes a contingent order where before or after the hearing of the suit, an appeal decree is subject to appeal, where in the execution of a decree, question of law usages having the force of law arises, court trying the suit or appeal or executing the decree may consider reasonable. The court may either of its own motion or on the application of a party draw the statement of the fact and refer the case to the High Court, or the High Court may seek opinion. So the provisions with regard to reference are applicable to the lower courts, where they seek the opinion of the High Court in that regard. Please note that. A reference is not applicable to High Court or Supreme Court. There is a separate provision in the Constitution. There is a separate provision in the Constitution with regard to how the other provision operate here. Section 103. Yes. Yes. Then after exhausting this remedy, then another important provision in the CPC is a review. Section 114 of the CPC to be read along with 114 to be read along with Order 47. Please note that. Now, kindly note that under the CRPC, there is no power of review granted to the session court or the magistrate's court. Even the High Court doesn't have power of review, except it can review its order under 482, the High Court. But in the CPC, a specific power is given for review by virtue of the provisions of Section 114. Now, this is very important. Section 14 cannot be read in isolation. It has to be read along with the provisions of Order 47. Now, the condition precedent for invoking review is that the person who wants to seek a review of the order should not have filed an appeal. Please note that here. There should not be, he should not have filed an appeal. And there is a provision proposed, if a decree is passed, an appealable decree under the provisions of Section 96. But before filing an appeal, he must file the review petition to the same court. It lies to the same court and normally before the same judge, mean the same court. If the judge has changed, no problem. Suppose if it is a city civil court number 1, court number 1 is vacant for some time, the judge is not there, the principal PJ will allot another court here. But if the judge is who passed the decree has been transferred or no more available, it can be assigned to any other judge. Normally, as per the practice, the review petition will go before the same judge and the same court which passed the decree on certain, what are the grounds? You may kindly see Order 47 of the provisions of the CPC. There are certain grounds only. Now, condition, yeah. Number 1, there's a
Sir,
yeah.
so only 7 minutes.
Yes, only 7 minutes. I will just cover in 2 minutes this one, then we ask question. Now, discovery of new law or important matter of evidence, which after due diligence was not within the knowledge of the party. Now, you may take up the plea that here certain material facts which are necessary for passing a decree were not available with the plaintiff at the time of a decree, now which have come recently. For example, in a suit for possession against the person, you may take up the plea that you are claiming a title in the suit. You don't have a document to show that. Then you come to know that here, the defendant will come to know that his father had purchased the property from the defendant's father under an agreement of sale. The defendant will take up the plea that here there is an agreement of sale between me and the father of the plaintiff. That agreement was not available with me. When I opened the bank locker of my grandfather, I came to know about it. So there's a doctrine of part performance, as a result whereof I became the owner. So the decree has been erroneously passed against me on the ground that I am a trespasser. So by no stretch of imagination, I am a trespasser. This new evidence could not be produced by me at the trial court because the keys are not available. Only the executor, when he filed a petition in the Bombay High Court for obtaining a probate, at that time I came to know. So I am expeditiously making this application. Okay. Then there must be an error apparent on the face of the record or the court. At the time of the passing of the decree, the trial court has not taken into consideration the full bench judgment of the Supreme Court or High Court, for example. If the judgment has not been taken down, it's a mistake of the court. For the mistake of the court, party should not suffer. One of the party can make the application that here there's an error apparent on the face of the record. The public document which should have been admitted by the court under the provisions of Section 74 is not admitted by the court for A reason, B reason. That has affected my case. Though under Section 167 of the Evidence Act, it may not be material. But the court says that that document is the foundation of your case. That goes to the root of the case. Then the court you can take up the plea that here, in the absence of the document, I would not succeed. That this lordship may kindly be pleased to take on record. It's a material document which has skipped. Out of 500 exhibit, this has been skipped to be marked. So this document goes to the root of the matter. So the court may reverse the decree on this point here. So the material must come on record. The due diligence must have been exercised by the party. If he has not due diligence exercise, and you cannot take up the plea after the judgment is rendered that your court has no jurisdiction and you reverses, that is not a ground. Because objection jurisdiction should have been raised at the earliest stages. So it must be a matter which goes to the root of the matter. It materially affects the case of the party. It is the evidence which is absolutely necessary in order to meet the ends of justice. Otherwise, the court will not entertain a review petition. Because normally the court becomes functus officio the moment decree is passed. Your remedy is before the appellate court under 96. But if a genuine mistake is made by the court, or if a genuine mistake is made by the party, a material evidence has not been recorded or come before the court, then you may say that here, this is an application for review and which should be filed in the same court as you file the memorandum of appeal under order 41. You must count the grounds of review. That should be filed within a period of 30 days under the Evidence Act. Please note that. If it is filed beyond limit, of course, a condonation application under section 5 can be filed in that regard as to why that here. Yeah, anybody has any question?
Good morning, sir. Hello, sir. So,
Yeah.
Reading up to this is something called this doctrine of merger, and the
Yeah.
point of a review is maintainable after the dismissal of an SLP by a non-speaking order in limine. So can you just touch upon those aspects? It's slightly confusing.
See, in a Supreme Court, when a SLP has been dismissed by the Supreme Court for some reason or the other, now under the provisions of the Supreme Court, you can file a review petition to the Supreme Court, isn't it, directly? Against the judgment of the Supreme Court. The review lies to the Supreme Court. That provision of review is under Article 130. 13. What is the provision? Once you just see the Constitution of India. Review provision 137. Yes, 137 it is. 137 review will lie. You can file a review petition in the Supreme Court because by virtue of the provisions of section 112 we learned right now, the provisions of CPC may not be strictly applicable to the Supreme Court. So because under the provisions of Article 145, the Supreme Court can make its own rules. Article 145. So there's a specific Article 137 where if the review petition is rejected, there is one more jurisdiction in the Supreme Court that is called curative petition. Curative petition. That law has been settled on by the Supreme Court itself in Rupa Ashok Hurra's case. Rupa Ashok Hurra versus Ashok Hurra's case. 2002 4 SC